Well, hello there. This is Hussein with youtube.com/societyboy. I saw this great yoga video. I'm into yoga nowadays, right? Right. I saw this great yoga video online, and the lady gets like millions of hits, literally 1, 2, 3 million hits. Her name is Vicky Justice with a Z, I believe. I'm not sure, but she always starts with, "Hey everyone, this is Vicky Justice, bikini model in Miami, Florida." And I'm looking at the million views, and I'm looking at this intro, and I'm like, I should introduce myself. My name's Hussein Zaidi. My name's Hussein. Hi folks, this is Hussein. Anyhow, I'm currently in my apartment at 2400, rather it's 2404 at, well, it's in Toronto, and there's my view. Isn't it beautiful? It's right downtown. So you can see the corporate office, the head office of Rogers, and the CEO of Rogers right now. He's actually he's a packy man. I'm happy about that, because the new CEO of Google is an Indian guy. The new CEO of Microsoft is an Indian guy. It's really nice that at least we got one company in town that's got a major brand that's got a Pakistani CEO. Like Ted Rogers is a Canadian icon, right? Rogers, if you're not familiar, like if you're more familiar with American stuff, Rogers is the Canadian equivalent of something like, I'd have to say, CNN and HBO put together, or some shit like that, or like AT&T, let's say. AT&T, yeah. I mean, they do phone and they do internet and all this kind of great stuff. Anyway, that's Rogers. This is my beautiful little balcony, and today I wanted to talk about multiple personality disorder, or you might call it schizo-psychoid freaking, whatever kind of pharmaceutical type term that you want to come up with. I apologize for the horrible image on this camera. And you can see that I just moved in, so my place is still a mess. Hey, by the way, let me show you something really excellent. I found this great book called, basically it's called something like, oops, light. My God, the film quality is so bad. I apologize. I'm filming on my RCA tablet. It's a little 6 to 8 inch thing. I bought it so that I could read books on it and all this kind of stuff. And by the way, I do read books on it, so that's kind of working out. Unfortunately, what I didn't realize is that I'd be losing my phone. And in the meantime, after having lost my phone, oh man, you can't even see none of this stuff. It's in total darkness. I wanted to show you guys all this great, these great pictures that I picked out of here. So this beautiful book, Over Canada, an aerial adventure. So I lost my phone, and so that's why the picture quality is so bad, right? But we'll get back to multiple personalities in just a bit. Unfortunately, I've been diagnosed with having bipolar syndrome. And when I smoke weed, or let's say when I stay off my medication, you're probably familiar with people who are off their medication and then they start acting crazy. Now, the whole point of it is that when people are on their medication, they actually feel depressed and suicidal and anxious and all this kind of stuff, but at least they act normal, right? That's really what society expects and wants. I was just talking, I had this amazing conversation on Skype with my good buddy in Ginsburg in the USSR, or former USSR. I'm still living back in the 80s, but Ginsburg is basically, he's Jewish, and he was born in Perm. P as in Peter, Echo, Radio, M is Mike. Perm is the name of the place. It's next to the Ural Mountains. In any case, Ginsburg, this book, by the way, it was published by Jim Pattison. He's another Canadian icon. I mean, his group of companies owns the publisher that put this book together. But I just wanted to show you some of the amazing freaking views of Canada. So I'm going to be putting all these. I'm going to be basically plastering these all over my my wall. I actually, you know what? I've ruined the whole thing as usual. You can't even see how amazing these pictures are, and I've kind of disorganized them. I had them kind of set up in an order, but in any case, over Canada. And then what I'm planning is that I'm going to basically plaster the whole of the wall with all of this and create kind of a collage. When I was a kid, I used to skateboard, and you know, I'd get Thrasher magazine, for instance, or my Buddy Najar's Thrasher magazines, and then I would cut all the pictures out of them, or pages, and I created this amazing collage on my wall. It looked so great. When he saw it, he was both pissed off, but at the same time, he was appreciative of the art behind it. In any case, I gotta go, a grocery list. So here's the thing, my dear viewer. Split personality, split personality. I live in 2404. It's at 375 Bleecker Street. It's just on Bloor and Sherbourne, right in the heart of, I would call it Midtown Toronto. Downtown is still a ways off. Like, if I was to walk from here, it'd take me half an hour, 45 minutes to get to CN Tower. At least half an hour, right? At a good pace, might take you 20 minutes if you're huffing it, I guess. I don't know. I've never tried it. Perhaps I should walk more. But my wife lives in 2409. She lives just down the hall, and we're actually going to go there right now because all my stuff's there. She's got internet. That's the reason I'm over there. I came back to my apartment to get the tablet, but I need to take the tablet back to her place in order to upload this movie onto YouTube. This is an amazing movie that I've come up with, a concept that I actually have it written out somewhere that I need to dig up in my email. It's called Africa. And basically there's this huge nuclear fission or fusion generator. Like, scientists have managed to recreate one of the two. I don't know if it's fission or fusion, but one of them, and the one that we've managed to recreate is actually the less powerful one. If you actually were able to do the other one, I don't know if it's fission or fusion, you'd be able to essentially harness the power of the sun. Like a little block of molecules, like that you can't even see, could power the earth essentially. So in any case, in the future, obviously post Armageddon, you've got Eurasia has been conglomerated into one empire, and then you got the Americas, you got Latina, you've got Australia. So there's basically 4 empires, and the 5th is Africa. And you've got this huge nuclear fission generator in the middle of Africa, in the heart of Africa, and there's conduits going to each of the different empires, and they basically have consolidated their hold on Africa. Africa is essentially a wasteland, and it's filled with scavengers, but this top part over here with the generator in the middle of the Sahara Desert, it's got soldiers and politicians and bureaucrats and administrators from each of these 4 empires, and obviously there's this nebulous balance of power and all this kind of rubbish. And you know, it sets the stage. I mean, that's the context, and then it sets the stage for, you know, this group of rebels in Africa, because basically Africa is like the new Australia. All of your criminals from all of different parts of the world are sent to Africa. Africa's like, you dump everything you want in Africa. Like, there's nuclear waste there, there's fucking criminals there, there's all this shit we don't need. We just send it to Africa. But we got our generator there, so it's pretty important. It's like the oil, right? The oil of the future. It's basically neutrinos and whatnot. But you got a band of savages that want to take over or rebels. I mean, they're called terrorists or freedom fighters, whichever you like to think, because Africa wants to be sovereign too, right? And then you've got Eurasia, because they're the big guys, and it's China and Russia. They want to take over the world, and so they want to basically take over the generator. Anyway, we're going to go down the hall and try not to bug my neighbors, because I've become a bit of a nuisance in the last few days. I hope I can continue to be good and not get evicted by my landlord. Anyhow, so we're off. Isn't this a beautiful jacket? Orange is the new politics. That's NDP. So I voted NDP. I voted for Linda McQuaig. And I got a video about that on YouTube too. But let's shh for a little bit, and then we're just going to go down the hall to 2409, and then I can start talking again. What's going on? How are you guys doing? I'm filming you, by the way. Well, they didn't seem to mind. Maybe they didn't understand. I'm just making a YouTube video. So yeah, I voted for Linda McVeigh with the NDP, dear viewer. And I have to say that, like, I'm not a communist, but A, they have more seats than anyone else, any of the other opposition parties. And then B, you know, they're socialist. It's called social democracy. Social democracy essentially is basically saying that you're going to take the best parts of communism, right, and you're going to turn it into, but you're going to use it in a democratic context. You're going to have a democratic platform, but really we're looking at the good of society. Let's do the infinity loop, 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 loop. Right now you're staring into the eye of eternity, my dear user. That's the eye of eternity right there. Anyhow, communism. Communism brings me obviously to my favorite character in the world, Che Guevara. I'll tell you something about Che Guevara that will blow your mind. I've got Steve Jobs here too, by the way. Che Guevara, okay, had a vision about his death. It's written in intricate detail in the book, and basically I wanted to I thought about actually reading it out to you, dear viewer, but it would take way too long. Got my computer. Hey, by the way, it's really a nice thing to put your photos as screensavers, as a screensaver. I'll tell you why. We take thousands of photos in this day and age, and nobody ever goes back to them. Like, my wife is a photoholic. She'll literally have hundreds and thousands of pictures after the end of one of her trips. She's on a trip right now to Seattle, but she'll basically have so many photos, and I always, like, I will be posing, and I love taking pictures of her. I got thousands of her photos, and I've lost computers and hard drives with years of photos on them and all this kind of shit. And in a way, it doesn't bother me. Why? Because I tell her the same thing. As I'm taking the photo, I'll be saying, babe, you know what? It's great. However, are we ever going to sit down and look at this? We've done that maybe in 11 years. We've done that maybe twice, 3, 4, maximum 5 times. We've actually looked at photos. And for some reason, it's kind of boring. But when you got them on your, that was me at a security job. When you've got them on your computer like that, it's kind of cool because you get to see them. I mean, at one point we had them on our big screen TV over here. But in any case, so folks, multiple personality disorder. So Che Guevara, very quickly, he had a premonition about his death. He found himself in some mountain village, and the moonlight and all this kind of shit, and he used to write. He was fucking like me, basically. I wish I was a little bit like him, but he was like me in the sense that he used to read a lot, and he used to write a lot. He's written like journals and all kinds of stuff, and it's funny that none of the stuff is published in mainstream. A lot of it is kind of just manuscripts and journals and weird stuff. Like, he had this thing called Notas de Viaje, notes of my journey, notes of the journey. Like, everyone has seen, or many people have seen, the Motorcycle Diaries. It's a famous movie about Che Guevara starting off, pre-revolutionary Che Guevara. He was actually a medical student. He's from Argentina. Che actually means hey, like, hey, how's it going? And Che, that you say Che to each other in Argentina, and he was called Che for some reason. His real name was Ernesto. His dad's name was Ernesto as well. And in any case, him and his buddy, after finishing up with medical school, or almost finishing, they got like a year left or whatever, they decide to go on this adventure across Latin America, and it basically changes his fucking life. Because during that time, like, all of the southern or the South American countries, most of them, or many of them, were going through these weird kind of ferment. It was tumultuous times, just like my concept of Africa, the movie. You have all these different empires, and all of them have a stake in Africa. Well, in Latin America, you had the CIA, you had the United Fruit Company, you had the US government, and you had dictators in like Bolivia, in Guatemala, and in different places. And you had in obviously in Argentina, Argentina, you had Perón, like Eva Perón and Madonna. They're pretty famous. Oh my God, I'm at 15 fucking minutes and I haven't even said a fucking word about multiple personalities. What am I going to call this goddamn movie now? Che Guevara? Here comes Che Guevara. And then it's like, nobody watches the damn thing. I'm doing my best, dear viewer. I'm doing my best. I promise. I'll get to it. It's a really compelling thing. I just had this discussion with my buddy Ginsberg, and I thought, boy, I need to make a movie out of this. My problem is because I'm manic depressive or bipolar, call it what you will. You know what? Everybody is manic depressive. Everybody's bipolar. You, my dear viewer, if you're like the majority of people, 80% out there, it's always the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle. 80% of people are slightly depressed. Slightly. 80% and 20% of people are in a slightly elevated state, having a so-called good day. Have you ever wondered about the fact that life is so full of misery and suffering and hardship and toil and tribulation, and there's so few days of enjoyment, let alone weeks and months of enjoyment? And yet we're searching for those days and weeks and months of enjoyment. My dear viewer, let me have this take this opportunity and let me have this piece of your mind. Let me talk to it for a second, and let me, the piece of your mind that is looking for stability and security and they live happily ever after, and oh my God, if I fall in love or if I get the right job or the right car, the right career, or enough money or the right house, I'll finally be safe, secure, stable, happy. It's never going to happen. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam, peace be upon him and his family, essentially said, and for us, I've said before in a different video, whatever he said was hatman maqdiya. It was final. Now there's a question of, did he actually say it? Because there's probably as many false sayings attributed to him as new ones. Anyway, he said there's no security or no stability in this world. Period. You'll never be in a moment of well, you might be in moments or hours or even a day or maybe even a month if you're lucky of happiness, what you might consider happy. The unfortunate fucking thing is that the happiest times of our lives, we don't appreciate them when they're happening. It's those years that fly by with your ex, and then later on you're thinking, shit, I really had such a great time and she really understood me and I really took her for granted, and you're filled with remorse and regrets and sadness. I talked to Ginsberg a lot about nostalgia. Let me give you something to look at it in the background. I talked to Ginsberg for a while about nostalgia. And the problem with nostalgia is that you take a normal event of the past, like I'm talking to you right now, 10 years or 15 years from now, I could look back on this and I could be like, oh, I used to make all these great YouTube videos and it was so much fun. And what I'm forgetting is that right now, I'm stressed out of my fucking mind. If any of you know bipolar people or people who are manic depressive, or if someone's acting out, there's two reasons for that as far as I have been able to understand. Three, let's say. First is and foremost would be stress. Stress has fucking fucked our lives, okay? And that's a topic for discussion for another day. The second one, the second one would be lack of love. Nobody feels appreciated. Nobody feels appreciated, and we crave people's attention and love and admiration and respect so much that we go out of our way and we start acting up in order to get people's love and attention. Kids teach us a lot. Kids act up because they don't get just a nice pat on the head. All you need to do is pat your child on the head, folks. Please, I beg you, if you're listening to this, pat some kid on the head, and what you'll see is immediately, the kid will light up. He'll assume a different posture. He'll calm down. You know, basically, it's an Islamic thing. It's an Islamic thing. I might as well tell you something else about raising kids. From the age of 0 to 7, you are the child's slave. From the age of 7 to 14, the child is your slave. And from the age of 14 onwards, the child is your advisor. So from the age of 0 to 7, you are the child's slave. Whatever the child needs, you give it. You attend to the child. You don't ignore the child. You don't get on your freaking phone and you're talking to your friends and you're at the mall looking at shit and talking to the shopkeeper, and this little kid is just, you know, he just wants mommy to give him some attention. You pat him on the head. You pat him on the head. You know what? You let him know that he's appreciated. and admired. And if he's a small little kid just in his own world, he's now suddenly attached to reality and life, and that's mommy or that's daddy. And you know what? I even think that there's a brain massage thing going on. It's a tradition of Prophet Muhammad's, peace be upon him, just like Jesus, peace be upon him. Um, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his family used to love kids. Used to love kids. Kids used to hide and wait for him to come by because he always used to. Uh, he used to always like to initiate greeting, salam. Now, when you say salam, you get more reward for it than the person who replies because you've taken the initiative. But as for the person who replies has to reply. If you say salamun alaikum to someone, they have to say wa alaikum assalam to you. They have to. If they've heard you, there's no excuse for ignoring that. Anyway, age of 0 to 6 or 0 to 7, the child is your slave, or you're the child's slave. From 7 to 14, you become the child becomes your slave. It's so beautiful. This is the real Islam. Because from the age of 7, you got to teach that little fucker about life. You got to teach him about hard work and responsibility and do your chores. And is your homework done by 8 o'clock on time? And have you cleaned up your room? And then you get to go out and play. And then I'm going to take you to Playland on Thursday. If you've got my kind of work schedule. Like, I got a new security uniform. Security is the best fucking... Security is the best career in the world. I mean, look at this primary response logo right here. I mean, you feel pretty good wearing something like this. And all I needed to pick up, I went in yesterday, or 2 days ago, I went to primary response. I saw their ad, went in 2 days ago. Yesterday, 2 days ago for the interview. Yesterday, I went in for orientation. And today, later on today, I'm actually working. Anyway, all you need to do security, my dear folks, I'm just going to show you really quick. I know I'm totally off topic as usual, but you may, if you're actually an astute viewer, you may actually have realized by now that I actually do tie up the threads pretty good. So that's my security license right there. You can see, or maybe not, right at the top there it says Ontario. It's got the seal. It's beautiful. It's the same color as my sales and marketing website, salesandmarketingforyou.com, separated by hyphens. In any case, security is a great profession. Let me just tie it back to what I was saying before. You know, you got to work hard. You got to teach the kid about responsibilities and life and work. It's a favorite verse of my dad's from the Quran. There's nothing. Laysa lil insan. Insan is human or man or people. Nas is the plural of that. There's a chapter called Nas, which is the last chapter of the Quran. It's very short. And there's also a chapter called Insan. Insan is humans. Laysa lil insan. Laysa means there's nothing. Lil insan, for humans. Illa, except ma sa'a. Illa ma sa'a. Nothing except what he strives for, what he or she makes an effort for. Just like we say, La ilaha illallah. There's no God except one God. Ilah means God with a small g. La ilah, there's no gods. There's no gods. TV is not a god. Politics is not a god. Money is not a god. Art is not a god. The world, or nothing in it, the universe, there's no God. La ilaha illallah. Allah is just the name or a name of God. It simply is God with a capital G. Ilah is God with a small g. Allah is God with a capital G. Jewish Arabs say Allah. You know, Christian Arabs say Allah. Al-Masih ibn Maryam. And then Al-Masih is the Messiah, Ibn Maryam, son of Mary. And they say, they say he's the son of Allah. They say he's the son of Allah. It's a big mistake, my Christian friends. It's a big mistake. I'm sorry to say it's a big mistake. Anyway, from 7 to 14, the child is your slave. Then from 14 onwards, the child becomes your advisor. So you're getting his little mind to work now. You know what? My mom, when we were growing up, my mom and dad had a basic rule in life. My mom especially. Innal jannah tahta aqdam al-ummahat. Paradise lies under the feet of mothers, said Prophet Muhammad. Peace be upon him and his family. My mom said you would have to create an environment to raise a child in. in which the child is not worried about a goddamn thing except their studies. Nothing except studies. So you're buying them books, you make sure they got their uniforms, you make sure that they've got everything they need to do so that the result is what you're looking for. The result is that they're getting good grades, they're taking classes seriously, they're learning, and they embark along the path of education, because that's what it's all about. It's not about fucking money, folks. Your careers are not about money. Your careers are about bettering yourself, becoming a better person, more responsible, more professional, more competent, to stay honest, to stay hardworking. You know, honesty and being hardworking and integrity, these are the kinds of things that motivational gurus seldom talk about. They're very fucking important. Like, the law can cover, things like quid pro quo, don't harm another person, don't steal from another person, but the law does never cover morality. Secular law will never completely guide human affairs, because human affairs has a spiritual domain, and human affairs has a psychological domain. And so we have things like, we feel like we need to be spiritual, we need to express our creativity, things like that, right? Like art and culture is not really governed by law, right? Law is very pragmatic. It basically falls under the domain of property and authority and things like that. Anyway, as usual, I'm digressing upon digressing upon digressing. It's because my brain, they call me manic. They say I'm manic. I just say that I'm a passionate person. I'm kind of torn nowadays between feeling like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, in the sense that when I'm taking my medication, and if I don't smoke any weed, then I become depressed, anxious, suicidal, all this. I don't give a shit what kind of. The only fucking pharmaceutical drug that's helped me is Cymbalta. If there's anyone out there that's depressed, try Cymbalta, or try something called 5-HTP. From the age of 14 to 21, or 14 on, the child is your advisor. You're getting its brain to work. So my mom and dad created this environment where we didn't have to worry about anything except work, and they had a specific rule that you never discuss. I'm trying to make sure I'm getting carried away. I'm like an Italiano with my hand gestures. I dated this beautiful Italian called Daniela Cheddar for a while, and she fucking hates me now. I got a video on my YouTube channel where I'm in her condo, and I'm cleaning it up, and it's called Pigeons, Bipolarism, and Islamic Politics. If you go to my channel, you can go and search on my channel. Don't search up on YouTube, but search on the channel itself, and you'll find Pigeons, Politics, and Islamic Politics. Pigeons, Bipolarism, and Islamic Politics. It's one of my favorite videos. Anyway, Daniela Chera and hand gestures, Italiano. I'm trying not to block this little montage in the background. And I kind of have the suspicion as a amateur producer of these vignettes that unless it's interesting, unless I'm gesticulating, unless I'm articulate, unless I'm emotional and passionate, then you may not be interested, or I won't be able to hold your interest. The key is, obviously, as an entertainer, not losing your audience's interest, and how you do that is up for grabs. I really don't know myself. In any case, going back to what we're talking about, I'm going to get to multiple personality disorder or whatever the fuck in a little bit, because at the end of the day, we are what we think we are. And then we have to ask the question, where do our thoughts come from? Right? We are what we think we are, and where do our thoughts come from? So I might as well just wrap it up. I was talking about something else, and here's the thing. Here's how I tripped myself up. I proudly proclaimed that, hey, I'm pretty good at wrapping up the threads of my conversation, and I'll come back to what I'm saying each time very quickly. In today's day and age, people can't handle passionate people like me. You don't want someone to have too much emotionality or to emote. Even the word emotion is weighted and heavy and kind of scary, right? If someone shows up it's like Charlie D'Urso in Amway. He shows up for work, and he's like, hey, how's it going? Hey, and people are like looking out their cubicles like, and furtive glances and all this kind of shit, and he gets pulled into the office, and they're like, hey, Charlie, you talk too much, or you smile too much, you're too happy, you gotta calm down. He's like, can you believe that? That's what, like Kumar said, another famous Amway diamond, or he's a triple diamond. He said you got to be a little crazy to build this business. You know, my heart is sold on Amway, but my mind is not, unfortunately. I never could do nothing with that. I was in it for like 7 years. Fuck. I had to give it a break after that, and I had to abide. You know, there's one thing to persist and to overcome odds and to succeed at all costs. But then I read the saying of Imam Sadiq's, peace be upon him, the great 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 grandson of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his family. And he said that a person essentially should have the capacity to give up the unattainable or give up the elusive. Sometimes something is elusive and you need to let it go. Like you need to let that lady go, or you need to let some dreams go. There are other dreams. Folks, there are other dreams out there. What a great video that would make, folks. There are other dreams. Don't get caught up in your dreams. There are other dreams. You know what? You can change your career. You can change your job. You can change your girlfriend. Heck, you can change your wife. You can change everything except who you are, right? And that comes back to multiple personality disorder. Because the question becomes, who are we? So I was saying to Ginsberg, my friend, imagine you have this blank piece of paper. This blank piece of paper is a newborn baby. It has zero personality, right? Zero personality. Then one day the baby does something cute and endearing. It gargles a certain way, or it plays with a certain toy, or interacts with the dog or the cat. And you think to yourself, wow, that's amazing. And the next time it does it, and the thing is this, the child can sense your attention. The child can sense when you're paying attention to it. So it does it, and you're like, wow, that's so cute. And you tell your husband, oh my God, that's so adorable. You show your friends, oh my God, and they're like laughing and tittering. And the child is absorbing all this. And by the way, the child becomes funny. Because what it's doing is cute and funny. It's a piece of paper. And now you've told it that what it's doing is not the landlord tenant board who I have to call today in order not to get convicted. My fucking landlord, he got so pissed off. I got complaints from neighbors, and they were calling the office. I live in an apartment building, right? And there's a central office, and my landlord's like, what the fuck's going on, right? And then people are like, the guy's singing and all this kind of rubbish as usual. And I was moving stuff around. I'm going in between two apartments here, and I got furniture, and fucking buddy of mine, Guillermo, thank you, Guillermo. Hola, hermano, ¿cómo está? You know what? He took it upon himself. The guy's like 50 years old plus, 57, his knees hurt, but he's got this huge van, right? He's a contractor. He makes like $70 an hour. And so we loaded stuff up into his van, and you know, I had to pay him some money. I was going to give him gas money at least, but I insisted on giving him enough money that he's happy. He used to do moves for a living, and he used to charge his customers $50 an hour. And in fact, he was sent by God, as far as I'm concerned, in order to alleviate my suffering, because I had no idea what I was going to do. Like, paperwork fucking does me in. Although I've traveled all over the world and moved here and there, I've gotten to a point where I just want to be stable now. I've got stuff now. Like, this is all my wife's stuff. She moved in here in March, and she's still reorganizing, as you can see. But I've got paperwork, and I've got, I've got things to do, like go out onto the balcony and finish this goddamn video. The sun's coming up. I got so much shit. Infinity, 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 infinity. I got so much stuff to do, dear viewer. I got to call the landlord tenant board. That's the main thing I got to do today. But there's Toronto for you. Isn't that gorgeous? You can probably not see the Don Valley or the Don Valley Expressway starting to flood up with cars, or the buildings going out to North York, or the beautiful lake on the horizon because of the glare of the sun. This is probably not the best place to finish up what I was saying, but fuck, I'm a security guard. I'm going to make the best with what I got, and I'm going to get the goddamn job done. Okay, so we're teaching the child that it's funny. We've already told it that its name is, in case of my buddy Oleg, I was saying to Oleg, my name is Oleg. I'm 7 years old. I live in Pierre. The Ural Mountains surround us. I go to this school. I'm in this grade. We teach children stories about themselves, which become themselves, those stories. And so I said to Aliag, if you take that piece of paper and you gave it to a Muslim, the newborn baby is born into a Muslim family in Pakistan, you'd have a fucking beard, and you wouldn't drink alcohol, and you'd pray 5 times a day, and you'd believe in some so-called imaginary being. And Allah exists, by the way. Of course He exists. How can you deny God, my dear atheist friends? Anyway, that's a topic for another video. If you browse my YouTube channel, you'll see a playlist on the joys of security. You'll see a playlist on Carlos Castaneda, and you'll also see a playlist on proving God's existence, and another one on answering atheism. For the last year at least, I've been making all these videos. I've about said as much as I want to or need to, and I've interacted with all kinds of atheists, from Daniel Dennett to Richard Dawkins. Fucking Daniel Dennett, I bow down to the guy. He's a scholar. He's a sage. He follows me on Twitter. He used to follow me. I don't know if he still does. You might want to check that out. My Twitter handle is @Samulus People are like, what is Samulus Remus? Well, I knew this guy in the shelter I used to live in once, and his name was Todd, and I used to call him Maximus Toddulus Remus or some shit like that. So that's the gladiator shit right there. And SAM is simply sales and marketing. Samulus Remus. So you've got this child. You've taught it stories. You've taught it labels. I'm from Pakistan. I'm 40 years old. I'm bipolar. I'm manic depressive. I've got, I haven't been diagnosed with schizophrenia, God forbid, or multiple personality disorder or some shit like that. I mean, it's just another fucking label. If you're smart enough, you can come up with your own label. And if you're really good, you can get other people convinced about that shit. Where are some of our thoughts, my dear viewer? Where do our thoughts come from? The garbage guy might be down there. Yes, the garbage guy is down there. I'm going to go inside, finish this off, dear viewer. I got this out here to remind me to water the plants, my wife's plants. She's got all kinds of fruits and vegetables and strawberries, and the only thing she doesn't have is bananas. She's got like tomatoes and peppers and green plants and all kinds of stuff. She's amazing. She's amazing. That's why I love her, and that's why I'm going to love her until death. She's amazing. No one can replace her as a person, and no one can there's 3 things. I used to say, if a woman can take your shit, then she's the one for you guys. If she can put up with your crap, your bad personality and your uncleanliness and your rudeness, and you're not polite, and you're basically a savage, and the woman comes in and turns you into your mom raises you, and then your wife basically carries on that process, because a man by himself is a fucking savage. This is what I've understood in life. So a woman who can put up with your shit, but at the same time who she is as a person is number 1. And then the third thing is that what she's done for me. No one will ever be able to come anywhere close to the amount of sacrifices that my wife has done for me. My wife, Judith Novoa, whom I love and I hope watches this video. She doesn't have time like everyone else. But in any case, we are the sum of our thoughts. I say 3 things. I say we know nothing, we can do nothing, and we are nothing. We know nothing because all we know are labels. All we do is observe natural phenomena, and we receive stimuluses. You might be a brain in a jar, because everything that you're experiencing of the so-called world, there may be no world. There's something out there. We don't know what it is. Okay, you exist. The so-called world exists. There is something out there, because we're receiving impressions from external stimuli. So we see things, we touch things, we feel things. You know what? Things have colors, they have properties and smell and all this kind of stuff. And so therefore we know that those things are there. However, where did those things come from? Those things didn't come from themselves, and they have not been around forever. And so therefore, as well as yourself and the world, there's God. Now the world includes people. People may or may not be real. Have you ever thought about this? Of course not. I've got this game called Sentient Beings, where you imagine that you're the only real person in this planet. And what happens is, as soon as you play Sentient Beings, you start acting differently, because you start worrying about people at all. Because if the guy I'm talking to, it might be a figment of my imagination. He might be basically an image on a screen that's being projected that somehow I'm receiving in my brain. Any kind of thing. You're a brain in a jar, or the Matrix. There's a good one. Matrix is the same shit. We're actually asleep and dreaming. right? We're dreaming this world, right? It may not actually exist. There is a world, but we don't really know what it is, because everything that we sense is a chemical reaction in our brain. The taste, the touch, the smell, the sight of it, the sound of it, all these feelings, all these properties, all these um, sense elements that we're interacting with and that are basically going into our supposed brain. Essentially, there's stimuluses coming in from an environment. So there is an environment, there is a world. But once again, somebody would have had to have created that world, and that is God. That's why there's a God, right? So we're the sum of our thoughts. Now, creative people are often asked, I've never been asked this. Well, actually, I have. I might as well say I have. Someone asked me, where did you get that idea from? And Stephen King talks about it as well. Stephen King is all asked all the time, where did you get that idea? And, you know, you get to a point where, see, I'm so considerate, dear viewer, that I don't want the reflection to ruin this montage for you. There's people out there that pick their nose on YouTube and they get like 200 hits for picking their nose. And I got like 378 plus videos. And like, I like go to such lengths. It's a basic principle. I want to write another book called The Law of Opposites. I've already written like 2 or 3 books that I'm trying to get published. And I'm just too lazy or disorganized to do that. But the law of opposites, you know, basically, the nicer you are to people, the worse they treat you, just like Gandhi and just like all the great people that have been persecuted through time. The better person you are, the harder life gets. If you do good, life doesn't get easy, life gets harder. And there's reasons for that. And I mean, in my Islamic terminology, it's simply God testing you and wants to make you even better. The life, and by the way, life once again is full of suffering and strife. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. Simply put, says the Quran, we created man into turmoil. Ya ayyuhan nas, laqad tarun ila rabbika kadhan kadha. Oh man, you're struggling and toiling towards God. Towards your eventual return is towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala azza wa jal. So, law of opposites, the thing you want the most, so the better you are, harder life is. The better you treat people, the worse they treat you. The thing that you try and do the most, and the hardest you try to do something, the more you fuck it up, right? Now, you can argue with this, but you have to understand that there is truth to what I'm saying, right? Intuitively, you'll grasp there is truth to what I'm saying. And then finally, last but not least, this is like 45 freaking minutes now, dear viewers. One of my long ones. I don't know what to do with it. I got to upload it at this point, and then what? I got to promote it and have people think I'm smoking crack or some shit like that, right? I haven't smoked weed in fucking days, right? I exercise more than you can know. I take vitamins. I eat better than you can imagine because I'm thinking about things like, have I had enough carbs? Am I going biking somewhere? Do I need to take carbs? Did I just exercise? Do I need to take protein? Hey, listen, simple rule. Take carbs before you exercise and take protein after you exercise. And don't eat sweets, period. Eat fruits. If you want to eat sweets, eat a fruit. And if you want to round it out, vegetables, right? I would say milk, but even nowadays milk is a fucking controversial subject. If I tweeted milk, I'd probably have some fucking anti-milk people come after me. Just like I tweet about atheism and God, and people come to my channel and they swear at Prophet Muhammad and me and the Quran and all kinds of things and blasphemes that I can't even repeat on air or whatever. Anyway, so the thing that you want to do the most, you screw up the most. I was talking about something. I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to go back to the main thing. You are the sum of your thoughts. Stephen King is asked, where do you come up with this? He's got this word like ujabuga or some stupid fucking thing like that. Basically, an answer to the unanswerable. Because he doesn't even know where they come from. Do you accept that, my dear viewer? So, if a creative person, it's universally accepted that creative ideas and all this shit comes from somewhere else, and people then they exult in saying things like well, I'm just a medium, it came from somewhere else. and I was just a medium. I'm a channel. I'm basically bringing something in from the void, and people are admired for these statements, you know. And by the way, I say the same thing. I have no idea why I am the way I am, because what does it all boil down to? If we say those things about creativity, you gotta understand the same thing holds true for just thoughts. Creativity is just thoughts. Certain thoughts are stupid, certain thoughts are exceptional, okay? And certain thoughts are mundane about bills and life and work and all this kind of rubbish. But the question becomes, do you know where your thoughts come from? If you don't know where your thoughts come from, understand, you have to ask, who am I? Because the I, these are air quotes. Thank you, Michael Queaton, for bringing air quotes back to business, right? So your thought that my name is Hussein, your thought that I'm 40, or your thought that I go to such a place and I call this my work and I'm identified, all these thoughts and this thinking are stories. Accumulated together, they become stories. Those stories make our lives up, and they in the sense of, okay, our lives are our lives. Our lives are experiences, and those are factual events that happen. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, because what I'm talking about is subjectivity versus objectivity. Am I do I have a set personality, or could I be anyone? Could I be anyone? And by the way, it's very scary because it opens the door to all these fucking things that I started this video with. I put those things out there to hook your damn attention. Schizoid and schizoaffect and schizophrenia and paranoia and multiple personality disorder. When we read about some guy who gangbanged somebody or ran over, there's some guy who's a schizophrenic and he stole a plow. A plow. He left his shelter barefoot. And I was very interested in the topic at the time. I was in jail or something, or I just left the shelter, and I was following this guy on the news. The guy was out of his mind. He left the shelter. He went to a Tim Hortons. He started acting crazy there. They gave him some coffee or some shit. This is Canada after all, right? I hope they gave him some coffee. He went out barefoot in the snow. He saw an unattended snowplow. He stole that shit. He ended up crashing into a car. Unfortunately, there was a police officer or a constable in between him and his plow and the car, who got pinned and crushed and fucking killed by this guy. And then it all boils down to what? Because we're searching for answers. Human mind is two things. It's very judgmental. You meet someone and immediately you're trying to figure out, who is this guy? What's he all about? What kind of job does he have? How much money does he have? How educated is he? I'll tell you why we do that. Because innately we're trying to learn from others, and innately we teach others, right? It's all about value systems. It's a whole different topic. I got an article on my marketing website, salesandmarketingforyou.com, separated by hyphens. You go to the part that says you on the left hand side in the menu, right at the top. The first subsection is you. Sales and marketing for you. You is simply your customer. It's in quotes. It doesn't mean you, the viewer or the reader of my website, or anyone who watches my marketing videos. You doesn't mean that person. You is your customer, as in Microsoft saying, what do you want to do today? Or Nike saying, just do it. The best marketing, I've got many articles about this, by the way, but the best, my whole fucking website's about the sales and marketing for you is basically what I'm trying to teach the world of marketing. These people talk about me and my product and my company like car ads are the worst. Like, oh, best in its class, 6,000 gallons per second, 2,400,000 square feet cubic velocity, and you got these cars going, breaking through things and flying down roads and mountain terrains, and they're talking about the car. Why don't they say, hey, there's more luggage for you? Some ads do that, but not as much as they should. The best car advertising, unfortunately, is Volkswagen, the people's car. They have to have their karma come back to them. People are like, why is Volkswagen going up in flames? Volkswagen is a Nazi mobile. Volkswagen means people's car. It was fucking created by Hitler, you fuckers. As a marketing guy, I'm amazed that they have an amazing brand like that. It's a coup d'etat in marketing. A bloodless coup, man. They created one of the best brands in automobile history through what? They're Germans, and they're up against Mercedes, man, and BMW. And they've created this amazing fucking iconic zeitgeist type of culture changing thing called the Beetle, the Volkswagen Beetle, like from the '60s to today, the Love Bug, and what's this Disney movie with the Beetle, Herbie? Herbie goes bananas and all this kind of bullshit. You probably think I'm going bananas, but think about what I'm saying. Are you or are you not a sum of your thoughts? Your identity and everything that you know about yourself is labels and thoughts. And a lot of those thoughts, if not all of them, have been force fed to you by your boss, by your parents, by society at large, by your friends. And you've accepted those thoughts and labels and stories, accumulation of thoughts and labels, you've accepted those as being me. You've said that I'm Hussein. I am 40. I live in Toronto. Toronto's just a label. There's nothing out there but fucking the world. And the world is the same everywhere. It just is a bit hilly here, or there's a lake out there, or whatever. And then along the way, we have people that have come and we've got civilization. But at the end of the day, natural phenomena, la tajidu li sunnatillahi tabdila. And another place in the Quran it says, la tajidu li sunnatillahi tahwila. There's no changing of the order of God. The order of God is there and it exists, and that's just the way it is. And the way God does things and the way the world is, period. That's why ancient truths and ancient wisdom, my dear atheist friends, if you say to me that these are just fables and made up stories of the past, you're wrong. Aristotle is relevant today, and Plato and Socrates and Ibn Sina and all these great thinkers and Avicenna, right? And I'm going to pretend like I know some more. I don't really know too much, unfortunately. But where's the Pharaoh? The Pharaoh had lots of money. He had pyramids. He had a fucking empire. Where are the Caesars, right? Not just one Caesar. Julius Caesar was great. Everyone admires him. What about the rest of the Roman empires? Most of those poor bastards were killed by their own fucking... I forget what it was called. I was listening to the audiobook of The Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire by Edward Gibbons. It's amazing. It's in multi-volumes. You can't even listen to half of one volume. It's so detailed. They talk about the Goths and the different empires. At the end of the day, the Roman empires essentially were killed by Romans, by their own people. And anyway, what I was trying to say is that we remember Gandhi, we remember Newton, we remember Einstein, we remember Steve Jobs. I got his book right there. I hero worship that fucking man. I don't give a shit if with his labels, with words, he used to say, I don't believe in God. He used to say, I'm Buddhist. He used to say, I saw a picture of a starving child and I thought to myself, if there's a God, how would he allow that? That's a very typical atheist argument. And by the way, it's something that believers cope with as well, the existence of suffering. I'll tell you something, a little fucking secret. Suffering is the most valuable thing in this universe. Do you know that? And I can say that because I believe in the law of opposites. Because it's the hardest thing for us and the worst thing that we hate the most. Therefore, I know it's the most valuable thing. Why did God make the universe like that? I have no fucking clue. Why is the world the way it is? I have no idea. Why are most people judgmental and negative, and you're trying to be nice to them and you say hi and I say show them your teeth. Just say hi to someone and go like this. And you'll see that people light up, right? But originally and initially, they're bent out of shape and they're judgmental and they look at you and they're acting weird. Why is it like that? It's to keep you on your toes, folks. To keep you on your fucking toes. The world is the streets. The streets, that's all it is. And you got to be like Pink Floyd says in the song Dogs. You got to be sharp and you got to be presentable and you got to have your game down pat and you got to have a firm handshake and you got to make eye contact and you got to smile, you got to dress well. You got to build yourself up, folks. You got to invest in yourself. Your job or the government or your mom or dad, no one is going to protect you from the world at large. You got to protect yourself. God wants you to protect yourself. Folks, I'm going to leave it at that. If you got something from this, I appreciate it. If you leave me a comment, I would be so fucking delighted. The worst has already been said to me. If you were to say to me, well, you're a fucking imbecile and you're cracked out and I'm sending the cops over right away and then I hear a knock on my door, that would probably be the worst comment I ever got. However, if you have actually listened to this or even forwarded through it and you've listened to little snippets, please do me a favor and just say something. Give me some advice or give me some thoughts or say hi or just put some just hit your keyboard like this. Give me a like. In fact, give me dislikes. I don't mind that either. Take it easy. Once again, it's Hussein at youtube.com/ZaidiBoy. Over and out for now. No. All right, where's the pause on this goddamn thing?